As a real estate broker in San Antonio, Texas, one of the questions I get asked all the time is simply, how's the market? Well, friends, today I'm going to walk us through where we have ended 2024 in the real estate market in San Antonio and around the country, and then also take a look into what we can expect for 2025. So let's take a look at what we've got. In front of you is the San Antonio Board of Realtors MLS system. They put out this infographic every month, and you see October sitting next to November. And we don't yet have December's out because they wait, of course, until after the month is over. So we should see that coming out, mid-January. Yet we can also already take a look at what we're seeing here from our infographic and get an idea of what the San Antonio market has been like over the past year. So first things first, if you look up in the top corner here, it says 2,825 total sales. So just for clarity, that's the number of single family homes that have closed in the month of November 2024 in the San Antonio MLS system. And as you see here, just below that, that's a 16% increase year over year from 2023's numbers, same month. Okay, then we take a look over at the average price, and you see that that basically has stayed the same, up 1% from a year ago. And if you look back to October's number, again, same thing, about 0%. So we're effectively seeing flatline numbers in terms of the pricing over the past year or so. Just below that, we look at the close to original list price of being 93.2%. Now, I always like to give really, really simple math examples on things like this, just so it's easier to understand. So imagine, if you will, that you have your house listed for $100 on the market. What this is saying then is that it would sell for $93.20 on average if you had it listed for $100. Underneath that, days on market, one of the metrics that we pay a lot of attention to in the real estate world. What that shows is that, around 70 days on market means that if you put your house on the market today, pending that you were marketing it well and it was in a great area and looked good and priced right and all those things, all those key components, as long as you did those things, you can expect that it will be on the market, basically about 2 months, 2.5 months in today's world. Underneath that says price per square foot. And this is a little bit of a tricky thing to understand because what you're trying to do is you're looking at the entire San Antonio real estate market of, trying to make everything just apples to apples average. And that's a tough thing to do. So what this is saying is that on average, houses in San Antonio are selling for about $173 per square foot. Now, again, that's going to really depend on location, amenities, acreage if you have it, condition, age of the house, all those sorts of things. So we can't really put a lot of weight into that one metric and say, well, across the city, this is what everybody's doing. Now, underneath that, months of inventory, another one that we spend a lot of time paying attention to in the real estate world. And what this is saying is, at the current rate that houses are selling, if no more houses went on market, how long would it take for all of the current houses on market to basically, burn off the list, or essentially, all be sold? So again, let's use easy math. Let's pretend that there's 100 houses currently that are selling every single month. So this would mean that there are then 500 houses that are on the market, because it's about 5 months of inventory. A couple more things down here below. You'll see that it says new listings. There was about 3,600 new listings in the month of November, and then about 14,000 active listings. So that's how many listings have come on the market in November, to total into 14,000 total that are currently for sale. And then the next one over here says about 2,200 pending listings. So once a house is on market, then it goes into pending status, as in it's under contract. Once it's under contract, then eventually it becomes a closed status. So what the pending listing number is usually a precursor for what the next month will generally look like. Okay, so now that we got an idea of what San Antonio looks like, I want to bring up this article to you that I sourced from the San Antonio Business Journal, and yet it's actually kind of a nationwide article. So it was from here earlier in December that it was printed in the San Antonio Business Journal, and it says 2025 could bring some relief to one major housing challenge. Here's what to expect. So let's dive into the article. So the first thing that it talks about in the article is inventory, and that again is how many houses are for sale. So what it shows is in this top section, it says while many existing homeowners are carrying a mortgage rate of 4% or less, life events and a broader acceptance that rates likely won't drop down to those levels again anytime soon have started to unlock supply. It goes on to say down below life events, more than mortgage rates, continue to be the primary reason people list their homes. See, here's what I know with almost 9 years of experience in selling several hundred properties in the San Antonio area. Of those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of properties that I've sold, there's literally only been probably one or two times that I can think of where someone came to me and said, "We need to move because of this math reason." Yet, almost every single time someone came to me and said, "We need to buy or we need to sell," it was because of a life event. We have kids, so we need a bigger house. The kids moved out, so we need a smaller house. We're getting married, we're getting divorced, we're getting families moving in with us. We're moving closer to family, further from family. A job change has taken us to a different area. A school district, we want to be in a different area. All of these things are the main drivers of why people move. It's almost never because of a mathematical financial reason. Now, that being said, we know then if most people are moving for life events, then the interest rate that comes behind that is just kind of, I mean, you may not like it. You may not like if there's a higher interest rate versus a lower, yet it just becomes a condition of the sale. So, speaking of interest rates, here are a couple of the predictions for the year. So, it says there, Realtor.com predicting mortgage rates will average 6.3% in 2025. Middle paragraph, Redfin is forecasting a high six range. And then here at the bottom, it says Lawrence Yun, who's the chief economist at the National Association of Realtors, very well respected person in our industry. He recently said, quote, "Are we going to go back to 4%? Per my forecast, unfortunately, we will not. It's more likely that we'll go back to 6%, and that will be the new normal, bouncing around 5.5 to 6.5% on our interest rate." So now here's what's interesting. Over the last couple of years, most of you, if you've been paying attention to the interest rates, you know that they've been generally speaking in like the 6, 7, even 8% interest range. Well, for about the 10 to 15 years prior to that, we saw things like 4%, 3%, even down into the 2% interest rate. What we have to understand is that was not normal. What we're seeing today is actually normal. This kind of 6% range, that's the normal. In fact, the historical average over the last 30, 40, 50 years hovers right around 7%. What we got kind of lulled into sleep to think about was that this era from 2008 2009 upward until about 2022, what we got lulled into thinking was that this was in fact normal, when it wasn't. It was abnormally pushed and suppressed low due to major catastrophic economical world events. One, of course, being the real estate crash of 2008, 2009, that era. And so what happened was the government responded by saying, let's push interest rates as low as possible so people can buy houses again. And then the second thing, of course, was COVID in 2019, 20, and 21. And so then what we saw again was the government response to say, let's keep them interest rates low to spur the economy. Now, those are temporary things based on some sort of a massive economical or world event. So my thought process here is, if you really genuinely wanted 2%, 3%, 4% rates again, then what kind of massive world economical catastrophe do you want to come in order for that to happen? And my answer is, I don't. I think what we need to do is we just need to understand that this 5, 6, 7% range is our normal. Okay, so then moving on, the next slide here talks again about the interest rates, but now it's actually talking about home prices. So, home prices, it says here at the top, home prices are expected to keep rising in the next year. And it says there Zillow is forecasting a 2.6% growth in home value. And then Redfin also predicting about a 4% growth. And then once again, Lawrence Yun from National Association of Realtors, about 2%. And in fact, if you take a look at this next graph, here are, I guess, what there's about 10 or 15 different sources, and all of their projections, which you see range from almost 11% growth down to basically a flat line or even a little bit of negative growth. Now, if you've been paying attention and if you've heard me speak about these things before, where do we like to see home price growth over time? Well, it's what we refer to as the 4% trend line. In normal years, we see a 4% trend. Now, remember, 2019, 20, 21, those were not normal years. We saw trends that were in the 20%, 30% growth in one year. It's not healthy and it's not sustainable. Sure, some of us kind of, got some free equity, by way of just fortunate timing, yet that's not sustainable. It's not normal. And it's not healthy. So now we're seeing this come back to basically what most people are saying is somewhere in the 2, 3, 4% range, which again, I have to stress is normal. We need to get back and get used to those types of numbers being normal. So I know that might be a lot to digest. And if you're thinking about this going, well, what does that mean for me, for my house, for my family, for my situation? Then what I would encourage you to do is just reach out to us. And we are absolutely happy to schedule a no cost, no obligation consultation. And we can have a strategy session of what does the real estate market look like for you and your family and your situation in 2025 and beyond. If that sounds like something you want to do, please reach out to me. You see all my contact information here. I trust you've had an absolutely amazing 2024, and I wish you all of the best in 2025. We'll see you next time.